Oh my God, what just happened to the Yankees? We went 8-2 in the rubber match. We were just ready to go nuclear on these Anthony Vulpi at bats. We're going to get to all those. But before we do, Cody Bellinger, 3 for 3, 6 ribbies, grand slam over Juan Sodto's head today. Jake, that might have been the best dessert of a series I've ever seen for this Yankees team. We were all ready to just go ape on what was happening situationally for this Yankees offense. And obviously for Anthony Vulpi, in 2 different at-bats, he leaves 8 guys on base. But we saved the day offensively. To see, Jake, this Yankees team score when it matters, technically in a regular season game, all of them are the same. But some games mean more. You want to establish some dominance. We're still the big brother in New York. We did exactly that today. How you feeling, Jake?
I'm feeling great, Gary. Anytime, the Yankees win a Subway Series, you have to feel good. But, man, this game, we talked about it, off air, and we were texting, and it just felt like this was the barometer for the postseason, right? This was, okay, where are the Yankees if October started right now? And I think they showed us that they can hang with anybody. That's not the issue. It's about finishing strong down the stretch and winning the game, coming through at the end of these games. We always see it, brought up in the comments section, rightfully so, that late game hitting, and then you see those stats. The Yankees are 5-10 or whatever in 1-run games.
Those are real numbers, by the way. Those are
real
valid
numbers. So This was huge. This was huge, but it doesn't just have to be it was huge because they beat the Mets. It doesn't just have to be it was huge because it was a game in which it was neck and neck. It was huge because I think it capped off the perfect Subway Series, how everyone was talking about Juan Sodto. And now here we are, Cody Bellinger sitting with a better batting average and a better slugging percentage than Juan Sodto. And he was abysmal to start the season. So
yes, he was.
The thing about Bellinger is that the power is starting to come back. You're starting to see it. The aggressive swing, it's controlled. It's a controlled aggressive swing. He's not, out of control. And he was, sorry, Gary, I'm going to say it. He was sensational today. But the whole series, they don't win that first game without him. So he just, to me, I watched this guy and I'm like, this is exactly why the Yankees went out and got him. And you already know he has the defensive prowess, but he was having that when he was struggling at the plate. But now he has that. That doesn't just go away. And now he's not struggling at the plate, and he's hitting cleanup, and rightfully so, because I just saw on social media, it was posted. It was like he's hitting 377 now. Just absolute. This was huge, Gary. They needed this, no doubt. He's 20 for his last 53 with a 13-game hitting streak. His OPS has gone from 614 to 789.
It's almost 100 points higher than league average.
It's insane.
Unbelievable. Okay, when it comes to Cody Bellinger, I think right now, just in the short term, he's established himself. He's now the Yankees' second best player. And this isn't just about the bat. When he's hitting, what he gives us from a defensive standpoint, we mentioned all that we lost last year in losing Juan Sodto's bat over the long term. But how can this Yankees team be better? It's going to be better defense, better fundamentals. And do you know who our most fundamental player is on this roster? It is Cody Bellinger. Remember what was happening earlier in this series. It wasn't just lasers in the gap or balls into the right field seats. It was reading the carom off that outfield wall, making a relay to Vulpi, and throwing a guy out by half a step, playing smarter baseball, getting better jumps, stealing a bag when you have to, put a ball in play when you have to. Now that we see Cody Bellinger doing all the little stuff, and now all the big numbers are starting to come right after that, he's now incredibly valuable to what we do. And we need to remember what's happening here. Cody Bellinger's probably not going to go win an MVP with the Yankees this year. It's probably not. That's going to be Aaron Judge.
No one's beating Aaron Judge.
But having said that, it reminds me a lot in basketball terms when you watch the Boston Celtics all those years ago and Rajon Rondo kind of ran stuff. Things just tend to work out better when they're around the basketball, right? When Cody Bellinger's involved in the baseball game and he's out there playing in center field patrolling, he just tends to make an impact when he's going. And there are a lot of players on this team that might be good for a day or two, but if they don't get hits, they have no impact whatsoever. Cody Bellinger impacts games, and obviously, when he's hitting, you see the difference maker. It pops off the screen. So I want to get to some super chats and appreciate you guys for supporting this channel. We will catch up on all of these. Apex says, we won with the Plan B Sodto replacements. Poetic.
It's even more poetic.
Come on.
And Gary had alluded to this, but you didn't quite you didn't sell it, right? Bellinger essentially winning the game because at that point it's over. Yeah. Juan Sodto can't do anything but look up. That is the funniest.
I don't think I could have put my credit card underneath his feet on that jump. He barely moved. And I understand he wasn't going to catch that ball, but I will say this. He
didn't want to fight with one of the Yankees fans.
No. Defensively, I thought Sodto looked pretty good in this game.
Best he's ever looked.
Best he's ever looked. We've never seen him look like that. Obviously, later in the game, we love the hustle he was showing defensively, but then later on, there was actually a ground ball he should have beat out to DJ LeMahieu, and he decided to jog. So you're paying a lot of money for a low-effort asset. It's interesting, but obviously I digress. The focus is on us.
A lot too tonight.
Who?
The G word, generational.
Generational. It was generation. I did say, by the way, I mentioned to you before we went live, that Juan Sodto at some point in this series, in a game that's close, a big game in this series, and it just happened to be the rubber match, you weren't going to see an 0 for 2 with 2 walks, right? You were going to see an 0 for 4. You weren't going to see a guy, they call him the walk merchant. Kind of ridiculous that they do that. But the point is, Juan Sodto at some point in this series was going to press and try to be a difference maker. That's not how he plays. And it played right into our hands. 0 for 4. 0 for 4 with 2 Ks. I thought we handled him well today. The Yankees did everything. I know you mentioned the staff earlier of how good of a job. D's channel with the 5. Thank you for the super. I know he has another super. We'll get to that here in a second. So it says, where are the people that said the Yankees would be swept or lose this series? Nowhere to be found, huh? So, Jake, I want to elaborate on what actually happened in this series and why it actually matters at all. And I want people to understand the only thing that really matters for this team, it's not going to be your bullpen and what they do at the back end of the game. They'll figure all that stuff out. They always do. It's not going to be Max Fried. We know what he does, right? 6 full today, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 8 Ks. What's new? We've seen that before. But what is this Yankees offense when you really need them in a 2-2 game in the 5th? And you can pretty much figure out this is going to be a 1 or 2 run game. They're going to have to come up with runners in scoring position and do a job. That big hit you saw from Cody Bellinger today, that big hit you saw from Paul Goldschmidt today, the Yankees don't usually get those, at least in their short-term and long-term history. So, Jake, all I cared about today is what these bats were going to do when all of us were tensed up and we needed something to happen. They came through today. You have to tip your cap.
Oh, absolutely. This was, again, we talked about the playoff atmosphere. This just felt like the barometer. Where are you right now? The Yankees proved. I think they can get back to the World Series currently where they are. The question is, can they win it? We'll see. But I do think they can get back. The AL is weaker. I think they showed today against one of the best teams in baseball. They belong. It's not just at home because the Yankees have gone on the road and have done this against good teams. So, we'll see them again. The Mets are going to host at Citi Field, I think in July, is it, Gary? So there's still
That's
one
right.
more series, and I'm sure, they might get the best of the Yankees. That could be a 2-3 series on their side. But the point being is that the 2 games the Yankees won, they ended up winning by more than 1 run. And the 1 game the Yankees lost, they lost 3-2. So, yeah, they had the hitting when it mattered. I do see the Mets are clearly lacking a big time slugging bat right now because Sodto isn't hitting home runs. And I think that, I like the way they play baseball because I like how they work counts. I mean, I don't love watching it, as a Yankee fan, right? But I like the way they work counts, just from a baseball perspective. But you could see the difference between the Yankees and the Mets is that they do have those guys that are more situational hitting and they can go yard as well. Whereas the Mets, they're trying to draw walks. They're going to use their speed on the base pass. They're going to play small ball, but you can tell they're waiting for Sodto to start raking, essentially. They need a power bat right now. And
it's
currently
probably Vientos, right? I mean, Vientos was really good last year. And to some degree, you look at your roster you had in previous years and you say, well, I expect to get the same version of that player, or maybe even something better. Vientos has not been that. He's really not been that thorn in the side of opposing pitchers. He's obviously dismal at third base. He's not good over there.
No.
He's really not. He made an error today. But mind you guys, with this super chat from Kyle, he says send Vulpi into a closet and lock it on outside. So thank you, Kyle, for the 2 and supporting our channel. We really appreciate that. And guys, by the way, if you're new here on this channel, we do read all super chats. We read other chats as well. We really appreciate all of them and all the support you guys give us. And we're going to hop around from positive to negative because there's a lot of both in this game. Okay?
Yes.
So I don't want you guys to think that we're going to try and manufacture either side. There's a lot. So Kyle wants to discuss this Anthony Volpe situation, and I think this is absolutely valid. And this is more about not necessarily talent, but approach. How are you going about your business? Are you able to make consistent contact? Are you striking out too much? Do you swing at pitches in the zone? Can you not swing, right? That's a big aspect of hitting as well. When not to swing. And it seems like, just based off the rip, and we watch every single Yankees game, we don't miss a pitch, Jake. Neither of us.
No.
Anthony Volpe, one weekend can be consistently great. The very next week, you're saying, well, he's ice cold. And I feel, just my diagnosis, I'm no expert, right? I'm not a hitting doctor. When you're swinging at pitches consistently outside the strike zone and you have no understanding of what to swing at and what not to swing at, you're bound to go ice cold. You are bound, especially with runners on base, you're getting the opposing pitcher's best stuff. You're getting their best breaking balls. You're getting their best sinkers in on your hands. He, at one point in this at-bat today, with the bases loaded, his second appearance, swung at 4 pitches outside the strike zone. If he had just chosen not to get the bat off his shoulder, we score a run. That's the difference between consistent, good, quality hitting and whatever it is that Anthony Volpe does, which seems to be consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, I think really Volpe as of late has been pretty solid. I
Yes.
do want to mention that. I even had him hitting a home run in this game, which did not happen, not even close. Here's the deal. I talked about this off air to you, and this is what I'm going to say about Volpe. Am I a Volpe hater? No. I'm disappointed in him because I drank the Kool-Aid. I believe that he was going to be a good prospect. I didn't think he'd ever be like a superstar, but I thought he'd be really good, right? I think he kind of is showing us that he's just an average baseball player. And there's nothing wrong with that. You have an average shortstop. That's normally the position a lot of teams around the league have average at, right?
That is true.
Except for, the guy that was picked after him in the same draft. Anyway.
You'll never let that go in Gunnar Henderson.
Yes. No, most people won't. But here's the deal with Volpe, though. Do you know why I feel that way? Because right after Volpe, I talked to you immediately. Jason Dominguez had the inverse batting at bat. Can't even talk over here. That's how pissed Volpe made me. No. He had the inverse at bat. So while Volpe got up 3-0, he then turned that into 3-3, as in you're out. Dominguez was down 0-2 and worked it down to 4-2 and took a walk. And I thought that was telling as who the better guy. I mean, hitter-wise, Jason Dominguez translates far more in the future than Volpe does. But then you watch the LeMahieu at-bat, and I know he struck out 101 down the plate, but that was a good at-bat. And this is a guy who's coming off, a rehab assignment, and a guy that a lot of people, including myself, was like, just DFA him. He's done.
Not a ton of reps. Yeah, you
right?
mentioned it. Not a ton of reps there.
And then the main event, the finale. And I say that ironically and jokingly because it was a pinch hit appearance from your B-Boss, who did not get the start today. I like him, but he hasn't really shown up in a lot of moments. None of those guys really have.
I'll throw Alex Reyes'
B-Boss,
super chat up there. Perfect timing here for it.
Yeah, B-Boss had an MVP type of at-bat. I agree. He was sensational. And look,
what did you see in that at-bat, by the way? Because for those of you who missed it, there are a lot of people who are going to watch it. It seemed fearless, but also composed, right? I mean, it felt like...
He looked like Juan Sodto at the plate. When he's in control and you can see it, he has this confidence about him. The broadcast even brought it up.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, he looked like Juan Sodto. And he was just he's like pumping himself up, but he also was just so calm, cool, collected. And I understand he doesn't hit this. He doesn't find outfield grass. But you know what? Just force the throw. And Vulpi did that. So that's why I don't get on him as much at the first at-bat, even though that was not a good at-bat. But at least you put it in play and forced a throw. The second at-bat was inexcusable. You go up 3-0. Brazoban does not even know where the strike zone is. You could show him home plate. They could have called time. The umpire could have literally drawn a box with and he would not have found home plate.
Did he know where his changeup was going right there?
Brazoban didn't know where any pitch was going.
He didn't know where his belly button was. He had no idea.
You know what? I think it had to do with the that play at first. He was off. He was really
I just
off.
thought, by the way, that pitcher, his game plan was just atrocious. Let's just remind you how this at-bat really went.
I agree.
The previous at-bat. Yeah, the previous at-bat, Anthony Volpe swings first pitch. Obviously, I didn't like that. But it was his choice. It didn't work out, right? We move on. He gets to his second at-bat. What should the pitcher now know about Anthony Volpe in this second attempt with the bases loaded? He is more than likely coming into the batter's box knowing I am not swinging first pitch, especially given the fact he didn't throw any strikes to the guys in front of me. So you know a guy is essentially taking a free pitch. What does he throw? He throws a changeup, gets behind in the count. Gets behind in the count to the point, you mentioned it's the opposite at bat Jasson Dominguez took. He gets behind 3-0. You should not be swinging the bat at all until it is 3-2. And you pretty much, your approach as a hitter, you need to read the room. What should your approach be right now in this moment? I need to find a way to draw a walk. I understand you're supposed to be this top prospect. You're supposed to try and hit hard contact, maybe even hit a grand slam and be the hero for the day. I get it. I get wanting to be Cody Bellinger today. I get that. The problem is, Jake, you need to be able to have situational awareness.
100%.
And never does any broadcast, not Yes Network, not ESPN, not anybody, not Apple TV, no one ever says about Anthony Volpe, whether he's hitting or not, that his approach is good. I've never heard it said by anybody. No one has ever said that. And that's not me. They're accurate in that assessment because it's obvious. That's why. So I want to get back, obviously, to the positive because there's way more positive today given what just happened.
Of course.
We'll get to it with Max Fried. But yeah, the conclusion here, Anthony Volpe will always be the same player until he understands where he needs to get better. And it's not getting hits. It's not hitting homers. It's not fielding the ball. It's when to swing, when not to, look at the situation and then understand how can I apply my skill set. And he just hasn't figured that out yet. And yet you bring up with Alex Reyes, says B-Boss, MVP type of at bat. You work a 3-2 count. You're spoiling pitch after pitch after pitch, Jake. And all of a sudden you get 92 mile an hour velocity off the bat and action happens. All of a sudden defenses have to make plays. And you know what happens in key situations late in games? There are a lot of teams out there in baseball that don't make those plays. And we won a game because of it.
I'm kind of tired of hearing, I mean, not just that play. It's not like I've seen a ton of it, but like with Alonso, the overthrow, I'm tired of hearing, oh, well, you guys got lucky. No. Since when is it a given that any of those plays are going to be made? Oh, it should be a routine play. Yeah, and that first down pass where the guy's wide open, you get an occasional drop, right? On third down. It happens. The guy still has to make the play. Just because it's a routine play doesn't mean it's 100% all the time made. And also, it wasn't routine. If you think it's routine, throwing out Jasson Dominguez at home, you're out of your mind. And also, that ball was kind of hit weird. So
wait, when does it matter, though? Like, what does it matter if it's routine? I could have hit Bill Buckner's ground ball was as routine as it gets, and you didn't field the baseball, and the Mets are champions. Did suddenly any Mets fan care? No, you don't care.
No.
You obviously laugh about it, and then you get excited that your team has won. That's the game. If someone puts a ball in play and there's a routine play, your expectations should be that your players need to make those plays. Aaron Judge drops a fly ball in center field in the World Series. Did we make any excuses for that play? Absolutely not. Matter of fact, most podcasts, Jake, didn't even want to go live because of what happened. Did we do that? No. We hopped on live, wore it, and we stayed out there in front of 20,000 people and talked about the routine plays that weren't made, and it cost us a series. So, point being, routine play or not, you have to make the plays that are out there in the field. Some are harder, some aren't. But yeah, I don't understand the concept of you got lucky. This is sports. You go out there and make the plays, or you don't. It causes you to win or lose. And Rich Squires, thank you for the super for the 10. Said solid performance tonight, but I need to see some comeback heroics like past Yankees team of the 90s and early 2000s. For all the grief we have given Cashman in the past, he did a good job reloading. So, Jake, I'm going to kick this off to you because I would tend to agree. I think Brian Cashman, given the roster decisions that he made, I know the Devin Williams decision was a little iffy, but it's starting to bounce more that direction of a positive for this team, at least in the short term. What do you think about these? This whole idea that the Yankees have to get back to being this comeback team? Because that's true. Rich is accurate here. They were a team with down 2 in the 9th inning. You expected to be back there, similar to those Houston teams a couple years back. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely fair. You give Cashman grief, and I think that's also fair for some things, but this was an impossible scenario. I really don't believe the Yankees felt in their gut they were going to lose Juan Sodto. I just don't. I do not believe this organization made a trade with any feeling that they assumed, and I don't care what anyone says or says differently, I will tell you right now, from what the Yankees have done in the past, not going after a Corey Seager, they're not and this is why I can't stand when Mets fans are like, I don't know why you got all upset about a rental, because he was never looked at as a rental. The media said that he was a rental. The media kept saying he is going to be a Met. Michael Kay had said there's only 1 year guarantee. We'll see how it shakes out. But the Yankees themselves do not trade away assets to acquire a guy that they know is going to leave. They felt he was going to remain a Yankee. There is no doubt about it. So now you go about this, right? Unprecedented, by the way. A Yankee superstar to go to the Mets. That just doesn't happen. So now what do you do? Because it's impossible to know, because this is kind of the first of its kind, right? So they instead were like, well, let's see what we can use this money for. We've already shown the world we were willing to spend X amount of dollars for Juan Sodto, and they didn't go cheap. Yep. So I feel good about that. I'll always defend them, because I don't care that they didn't get it done. When you're offering that much money, that's on the player. He chose to go there, and I know articles came out about his family wanted him to go there, and he wanted to stay with the Yankees. I don't care. He chose the Mets. It is what it is. But now, how do you use that money that's been freed up? Pun intended, freed. You go out and you get freed.
Yeah.
And then you realize, like I did, like you did, wow, this free agency is pretty mid. We're going to go out and we're going to trade for some players that are better than paying guys like this right now, right?
And we actually left the open door. We're not tied up with any long-term contracts.
Yeah.
Paul Goldschmidt, what he's giving us, right? He's giving us this type of performance. He's on a 1-year contract. So all the hype about a Kyle Tucker or any other player, and when we made those moves, right, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. didn't have a contract. There are some talent going into the free agency pool where the Yankees can say, we got better or we stayed the same, which is still a team that won the pennant. But we also, right, we didn't have to tie ourselves up with a deal that we don't want 2 or 3 years from now. So Brian Cashman did make some moves that have worked out. Do I think this Yankees team needs to get better at some key positions? I really do. Absolutely. I do. I think this team could use another arm in the rotation. I know we're still trying to get healthy, get Heel back on the mound, but this Yankees team does have some ways to get a lot better. And the one way that they definitely have gotten better is the fundamentals. So I want to get to a super chat here. I think this is definitely some useful information here. First and foremost, I'll get to this from Kuso. Thank you for the 5. Says unsung hero again, B-Boss. He put in an at bat against Stanek. By the way, I want to advance. So he says, got Alonso's cheeks clenching. That's funny. I'm going to say this about B-Boss. Rather than just mentioning the at bat, I want to do something more big picture. I truly believe, based on the at-bats that B-Boss is putting together, not results, at-bats, quality of at-bats against really good pitching late in games, I think he deserves some burn at third base. Give him an opportunity to go out there and take consistent at-bats. If he's going to show us high-level at-bats, and I know a lot of people are going to look up and say, well, his batting average is X. Well, his ops is X. Well, My eyeballs say a different story. My eyeballs tell me this guy has a process and he understands the game. So I think the Yankees, at least here in the short term, this doesn't mean that he has to start a game 2 of a championship series this year. It doesn't have to happen. But I think given what he's doing, the Yankees seem to trust him. The fact that he was on the field in that situation should tell the story that the Yankees should at least trust him a little bit with a leash to play.
Yeah, I think it's really clear to see who these guys are in the short, the short span. Like we haven't seen a ton of opportunities, very small sample size, but Peraza to me is a fantastic fielder. I know he had the error today on a tough hop, but fantastic fielder. The hitting, there's some things I like. I think the exit velo is great. Another 107 off the bat. But after a while, it's like what I see is a guy that hits the ball hard. He does. And he makes good contact. But he doesn't work counts on the level that B-Boss does. So in that scenario, when you have bases loaded, who would you rather have up? I'd rather have B-Boss for that reason. If it's early in the game, I like Peraza. I think
because you like the overall package of what he does, right?
Yeah. So I actually like the way it seems to be like late in the game. And don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Peraza have his moment, but I want results. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, it'd be cool to have Peraza hit a walk-off homer or whatever. But what's going to get me the results more often than not? And I feel like Peraza playing 7 innings and then having B-Boss come in and play the rest, because he can also field. He's not a bad fielder. So you're not, taking a huge dive in fielding percentage. But then with the bat, now you're working counts in situational hitting, and I just trust him more situationally than I trust Peraza. The reality is, though, LeMahieu will be at third, and Jazz is going to be at second. And they might trade for somebody, they might not, but that's what's going to end up happening. And I still can't believe it. Pablo Reyes is still on this roster. He has not seen the field since LeMahieu's been called back up. So I just...
There's always one player on the team where everyone's like, what's like, does he have blackmail on the GM? Because no one's sure. I promise you there's nobody in our chat that has a single understanding, just as we have no understanding, of why he's on this roster. I don't know. I really don't. I don't want to spend any time on him because he's a waste of time. But Alex Reyes with the super for 2. Thank you, Alex, for the 2.
Thank you, Alex.
Says also 6-3 against first place teams in the last 3 series. To be honest with you, I'm not really, and this is good information, I'm not concerned. I mentioned this earlier about how the Yankees play against good competition. That doesn't worry me. What worries me is Yankees at bats when it matters. I know we can score runs. We lead the league in runs. We can score.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this. Just look at the numbers. You don't need me to tell you. But how do the Yankees take at bats when they don't have it going? That's when you really know, is this team actually a contender to win a World Series? Not just to get through the AL. I know we get excited when you win a pennant. You get to pop champagne. It's a great experience. But when we get there, we want to win the damn thing. So if you want to win a World Series, you're going to have to go out there and take some uncomfortable at-bats, Jake. You're going to have to go out there down 3-2 and show we can punch back with our offense, with our bats. And if you look at recent history, all those Yankees runs in 2017, right, 2018, 2020 during COVID, there were a lot of situations where the Yankees, when it mattered most, they couldn't score, right? Giancarlo Stanton, all those runs that he was making, there are a lot of those runs were happening. Gleyber Torres made a huge run during that COVID postseason. None of those hits were when we really needed them. And that doesn't mean they're not clutch, but you got to get up there in the 8th inning, man on second base. You got to find a way as a team to be situational. That's why we brought in some of these guys. That's why we brought in Cody Bellinger, who doesn't lead his savant page is a lot of blue. It is. It's not a lot of high velocity. It's not about chase rate. It's not about offensive analytics and wins above replacement. It's about being scrappy. And sometimes you get the lesser baseball player overall, but you get a scrappier brand of baseball. This day today isn't the Messiah. This is not, we didn't part the Red Sea. This is not something heroic. The Yankees took one baby step towards playing good baseball when we needed them to play good baseball. That's a good sign for this team. and I want to see more of it. That's my ask, is to be happy about today and build off of this. And I think if they can do that, we can go far. And so Wojo, I think that's Wojo. I think it's Wojo.
Maybe it's
with
Wojo.
The 20. Is it
Appreciate
Wojo?
you. I don't know.
The YouTube names are out of control. But Wojo with the 20, thank you, Wojo, says, regardless of what happens going forward, it's great to not get punked by Juan Sodto. I agree with this fully. And the Mets at home in the first Subway Series. Credit to the Yankees for coming through. I'm happy, by the way, that we've got an understanding here, especially in a super, where we don't have to always look towards October and ruin the enjoyment of what we did now. If you're going to be in my front yard and challenge me to a one-on-one game of pickup basketball, I'm trying to beat you. This is competition. It's supposed to be fun. So I'm all for this, by the way. Let's actually slow ourselves down. The Mets are in town. Punch them in the mouth, send them back to Citi Field, and we'll see you in July. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, saying those golf tournaments throughout the year because it's not a PGA championship or whatever. Oh, yeah, you won, but who cares? It doesn't matter. It's like,
why'd we play the damn thing?
It's like, oh, I'm sorry, but like winning or like especially actually a better example of this is NASCAR. Because NASCAR, you win a race during the regular season, it actually has benefits in the postseason, right? It allows you to advance. And every single win counts towards something. So the idea that we're going to just relegate it all to like 1 month is insane to me because it's just like, all right, well, you just beat 42 other drivers. But yeah, it doesn't matter because it wasn't during the playoffs. It's just...
We'll relegate it to 1 month when it's that month.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not going to sit here on May 18th and say, this game means not everything, but this game matters today. We've got to show we can beat the Mets. We've got to show Juan Sodto. Yeah, you're not just going to come into Yankee Stadium and be yourself. You're going to go 0 for 4 with 2 Ks.
He totally thought he was going to come into the Yankee Stadium and, pump up some, pimp out some home runs and whatnot. He was supposed to take an interview today with ESPN, and he declined it last second. Okay? Juan Soto's series didn't go the way he wanted it to. Right. They really do. But he agreed to it, and this series wasn't going the way he wanted to. He came out to right field. I'm sure he thought, I'm going to get booze initially, but eventually they'll warm up. No, everyone told you to piss off, and they're allowed to feel that way. Yeah. And the Yankees went out and took a series from you. The Mets' mission failed. You come to Yankee Stadium. We got your player. We spent $800 million on this guy. Some call him overpaid. I don't really care about a player being overpaid. But you left our organization after winning a pennant, and you told us it was about baseball. Now come in here, and we're going to play baseball. That's what we did. And we punched him straight in the mouth. And Michael Anderson with a super, this is a good one, says Susan was talking all series about how big it was for Williams to get Alonso out. There were actually a few of our people in our chat mentioning this. And tonight, he got the win off of Alonso error. Keep it up. He dominated Alonso in this series.
Well, first of all, he's looked really good.
He has.
You know what's different about him? It's not the changeup. That's his bread and butter. It is the fastball command, glove side, outside corner. He's working the corners. When you show consistently, you can throw a fastball for a strike. That changeup is nasty off of that. But when you go 1-0, 2-0 with your fastball, why would a hitter, Jake, be confused when you throw some Bugs Bunny changeup? If they read at all it's a changeup, you just spit on that and wait for your fastball, down the chute, and that's what they've done.
Was this not the issue with Clay Holmes last year? And I kept saying, at some point or another, when you're just like, oh, he's got this demon sinker. It's like eventually when you're not locating the demon sinker, but that's all you have. Well, now I'm going to mash it because I know what you're throwing every time. Whereas he's actually, like I've brought up before, he's got the slider and other stuff, and now he's worked his way into being a starter. I think we see this quite a bit. And I have a theory, pitching coach being a Greek god or not, doesn't matter, right? Because Matt Blake is phenomenal. Probably the best pitching coach in the league, if not one of the best 3. But here's the deal. When you're too close to the situation, you overlook things. And I do feel like it does happen, Gary, where there are relievers that kind of go through this and they get known, like, for instance, great example here on the team. We have... Ian Hamilton, the Schlambio, right? They're throwing the Schlambio. I feel like Jeff Nelson loves talking about that. But anyway, We get it. He has the Schlambio. But do you notice when that thing is getting smacked around, do you notice how he sticks with it and it continues to get smacked around? When Ian Hamilton doesn't have his best stuff, he's going to the same pitch every time. It's no different than when Tommy Kahnle, if they do start to hit that changeup that he throws 20 times in a row, he's going to get battered, bruised, and scarred. And that's the problem, is that I think Devin Williams was always more than just his airbender changeup. But I feel like the Yankees may have like overreacted to it, and to a point where it's, oh yeah, just throw it. It's working for you, whatever. It's like, no, you're going to actually have to do some development here with a guy like this. I think they just assumed he's the superstar. We traded for him because he already is what he is. And then I think they were a little surprised to see him not really translate. I agree with you, Garrett. I think there's been a significant adjustment. I think the game plan is different, and I think he's putting more of a premium on that fastball.
Yeah, I think Cruz might be the only player on our roster that's got a premium breaking ball, and he just throws it majority of the time. I think he's the one player. I don't have another player. And when you think of a name, any guy, take your pick, and you say, yeah, that pitch right there is his bread and butter. Do they throw that pitch predominantly, like most of the time? Well, those tend to be the guys that don't have success.
No.
And we look at Max Fried. You'd say, well, what's his bread and butter? What's he really trying to do? Well, I don't know. I really don't know. It's gonna be four seam fastballs. Then in the fourth or fifth, when he's in a hitter's count, he'll go to the sinker. He did that today. That's a pitcher. You have no idea what he's going to do. That's a pitcher. So you got to tip your cap. Obviously, we'll get to that here pretty soon. But obviously, Kyle is very thankful. Kyle, thank you for the 5. Says, thank you for Alonso for that throwing error that changed the whole inning. I had deja vu from Saturday, but different result. Kyle, by the way, I don't think there were a lot of people in a negative headspace before that Cody Bellinger grand slam. I promise you. There were a lot of people that said, I want this Yankees team to win desperately. I want this to work out. But what in the short term, I know there were a few people that were actually in our chat in our last live late last night. And people were saying, well, this Yankees team is 5-10 in one-run games. 5-10. That's the record. That's not our opinion. These are just numbers. And when you're going to be a team that wants to win in October and you don't play well in one-run games, well, you're asking to win by multi-run to win series in October against some of the game's best arms, some of the game's best offenses. You're going to find yourself in a situation where you've got to score. When you're punched in the mouth first, when someone throws that first punch, what are you going to do? What are you going to do next? And Kyle obviously is thankful for the error, but also the fact that his deja vu didn't come true today is because of those bats. The bats saved the day. And there's Cheeks. I was waiting on Cheeks to arrive. Said, if you could clone one player, Prime Jeter, Prime Rivera, which would it be? Shoot. Right now, based on a roster
for this team, Jeter.
I'm taking Jeter. Good Lord.
I mean, I love Rivera, but good Lord, the bullpen's not the issue here.
No, we need consistent at-bats from a shortstop.
Could you imagine if Jeter was on this roster, like prime Jeter? And I think this is why people get so frustrated looking up and watching, now watching Gunnar Henderson. I don't know what's worse, watching a star player dominate on a team that's in your division and they're good, or watching them suck, like play on a bad team. So it's like
Gunnar Henderson's like in destitute right now. People are asking to fire the GM. Like the owner should sell the team, and he's just wasting his talent.
I'm not a big Brandon Hyde fan, but there is way more problems than the manager. That was insane to fire him there, and they've lost like 6 straight now. So the
manager. I mean, if you work at a fast food restaurant, take your pick. One that you hate the ingredients. Why would you expect the chef to make a nice meal? Why? The food is not good. There's plenty of fast food places I could name you. Plenty.
They actually ran into a buzzsaw, which is themselves, the Orioles, because remember I said they're not going to go after Corbin Burns now. They're going to let him go because they care about compensatory picks.
Yeah,
remember we talked about that?
Yeah, they got multiple first-round picks they'll do nothing with.
So you know what they ended up doing?
What's that?
They signed Kyle Gibson, and they picked up Cody Poteet, who got blasted so badly that Kyle Gibson got DFA'd. So there you go. And this is actually a good example of the difference between a Yankees team and an Orioles team. See, the Yankees didn't actually want, obviously they didn't want, Cole to get hurt, but they didn't see that coming. And you could talk about maybe they should have seen the writing on the wall, they didn't see it coming. They weren't ready for it, right? It happened. They adjusted. The Orioles created their own misfortune. They didn't pay a guy that clearly could pitch in Baltimore. They didn't. They didn't pay a star pitcher, and it created a hole. They let guys go. They traded away that one guy. I forget what, 2 prospects for that one like mid pitcher who they didn't even end up bringing back. I feel like the Orioles really are that team that just has been manufactured by the MLB. And that's really it, because they just tanked. And it was okay to tank, and now they're going up against it. But you notice now the lottery happened after the Orioles got all those players. And even still, all those players, the Orioles are sitting there. They made their bed. Now they have to lay in it. Think about it like this, Gary. The Yankees went out and got Max Fried when they already had Cole. They already had the Rookie of the Year in Louis Seal. Injury didn't happen yet, remember? So they had Clark Schmidt, who was pitching well. They still had Marcus Stroman, and they had Nestor Cortez and Rodon, who they so like, say what you will about the Yankees.
We were expected to trade a couple of those guys, but it's your point.
Yeah.
We essentially were like, we're going to get rid of a couple weaklings, and Stroman was, right? And
but
then
like
we're
the Orioles created their own misfortune.
Yeah, well, good, because the Orioles, they have a bad general manager. Their owner is not aggressive, and their manager was fine. He's not great, but he's fine. He was not a problem. And they were asking him to be Connie Mack. So good for them. They made their bed. Isaiah with the 5. Thank you, Isaiah. Says, Cody is only 29 years old. We see a glimpse of MVP Bellinger. I'm willing to wage the best is yet to come. Now, he's not more than likely going to return to 2017 form, but the Yankees, given what our needs are, let's remember, and this is going to be short and sweet. Last season, we went into the offseason thinking, well, priority number 1 is bringing back Juan Sodto. But this Yankees unit, the whole team, as a group, whether it's Aaron Boone, right, whether you want to blame him for the lack of fundamentals, whether you want to blame the personnel, whether you want to blame Hal Steinbrenner and ownership for not bringing better players in, they clearly refused to practice or hone in on the fundamentals of the game. Cody Bellinger is the opposite of that. So whether or not we get the best possible version of Cody Bellinger, we don't even need it. We need productive Cody Bellinger. That guy that you saw a month ago, Cody Bellinger, yeah, that was bad, right? Spring training was elite. He was great. Everyone expected him to be the 2nd or 3rd best player on this team. And all of a sudden he came out the gates like a turtle. And I said, you said, Jake, on this show, everyone's like, get rid of this guy. He's getting paid $25 million. And I said, hold on a second, guys. He's great at what it is we had to get better at. Do not be hyper-focused on the slugging. Do not be hyper-focused on the batting average. All this stuff is going to go back to the means, back to who he was in 2024, back to who he was in 2023. It wasn't a slugger. It was a guy who's going to get a hit in a big situation with runners in scoring position. He's going to field his position, and just in case of injury, I can go play first base. Oh, that 38-year-old Paul Goldschmidt who can't play for a couple weeks, he needs a couple days in a row. Yeah, I can go play first base. That's actually my home position. This guy plugs so many holes for the Yankees. He makes them so much better. So I'm glad that Isaiah brings up Cody is only 29. He's no spring chicken. He's been around baseball. He's been around for a while now. He came out of high school. This guy is still, he's not a 32 or 33-year-old player. We still have him more than likely for next year. So, yeah, at this rate, if Cody Bellinger is going to continue to play baseball at a quality level, especially in October when it matters, you never know. He might even opt out of that deal and head into free agency. So we never saw that coming a couple weeks ago, but I guess we've seen crazier things.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, he had a spring training that really looked like this is what he was going to do. And then I think the back injury, and I said that, and you've said that. I think the back injury had something to do with kind of throwing him off and, can disrupt you. But I do want to touch on the pitchers. We talked about Williams. We talked about Fried. Johnny Lasagna, okay? Loizaga was, and this is, I mean, it's a little hyperbolic, but I really mean it when I say this, because I have watched a ton of different pitchers go this year, relievers. Gary, that was the best stuff I've seen from a reliever all year. I just thought his location was excellent. I thought the movement was crazy.
What was the velocity, by the way? Did you catch that?
I mean, he got up to like 98, right?
So you said the first thing you said was what? Location, right?
Yes.
Location, movement, 98 miles an hour stuff.
They missed that, just to say. Also, I don't know if you caught it in the broadcast.
What's that?
This is the least hard-throwing bullpen in the league.
The Yankees?
The Yankees. They have like an average velocity of like 92.
Okay, so if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Devin Williams, not a barn burner. He's going to throw 94, 95. You've got Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver is basically going to sit. He can get up to 98, but he's mostly 94, 95. Cruz isn't throwing 100. He's mainly splitters. And then creep 94, 95 by you. And then obviously we have Hill.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you look at our group, I mean, there's some other names there, but they're not flamethrowers. They're not.
No,
It's interesting.
He was really just hovering around. So this is why I have all of his pitches here, right? So his sinkers, 96, 96, 97, 97, 97, 97, 97, 97. His changeups were in the 91s to 90. His curveball was hovering around 87 to 88. I think he's back. And I mean, I was just really impressed. And really, it is a reminder. This is why they brought him back. This is why they dealt with the injury and they let him recover and all of that. Because when he's out there, he's electric. He has some of the best stuff that you can imagine. The problem has been location. His location today was excellent, impeccable. He was painting corners. He was really making it tough on hitters. And I told Gary off air, and I stand by this, right-handed bats have no chance against him. They just don't. The way that fastball runs inside, it doesn't make sense because he's a right-handed pitcher. So when the fastball you're throwing here and the fastball goes the other way, it's kind of confusing, right? And it's hard to hit. And you see these guys guessing, and they're like, you guess wrong. He's going to make you look silly. And that's what he did today. I thought, hats off to Johnny Lowe. It wasn't easy going up against McNeil, who, if he played against the Yankees every single game, would probably be a Hall of Famer. Francisco Lindor, right? And these aren't easy guys to go up against. I mean, he absolutely turned Francisco Alvarez inside out. He just turned him into mincemeat. He was insane, So shout out to Johnny Lasagna. A lot of work to get to this point. A lot of work to get back. And I don't think we should underestimate it.
Yeah, and Linares 7BC, and I'm going to jump back to the conversation here with the super chat, says, love the stream, go Yankees. Linares, we appreciate that. Thank you very much. And again, guys, if you're new here to our channel, please make sure you like the video and subscribe, and obviously hit the bell, because YouTube they don't do a very good job of letting people know when we are live, and we hear it all the time. People message and say, how am I supposed to know that you guys are live? Well, first of all, we go live every game, every single day, but it varies from 30 minutes here, 45 minutes there. It would be nice to get some notifications, so go ahead and hit that bell. It helps out a ton. But Jake, back to the point here with obviously in the bullpen there, this is a player that health is the main concern, right? Johnny Lowe has always had the stuff. He's always been able to pitch high leverage, and that's something the Yankees were looking for with Leiter Jr. last offseason, right? We thought they were going to go – we appreciate it, Alex. We thought they were going to go high velocity, high stuff, miss bats. Jack Curry on Yes Network was mentioning it all the time. This Yankees team needs to be able to miss a bat. You got Ghost Runner at second base. That guy cannot get over. You need your best stuff out on the mound, and who's that guy going to be for the Yankees? Well, they didn't necessarily love their options outside of Weaver, and we expect them to maybe try and go get, right, a Mason Miller or somebody like that, and we didn't see it. And then obviously with Johnny Lowe coming back this year, if you get that type of stuff, he's going to miss bats, and you're going to see a lot of weak contact for an infield that is much improved from 2024 to 2025. So Johnny Lowe's got to stay on the field. If he can do that, we've got a weapon there. And I want to move this conversation to, you mentioned the arms, the biggest arm of the day in Max Fried. He's the ace of the Yankees.
So good.
Simply put, he's been great. He's great every start. If he's bad in the first inning, he finds a way to grind. If he's great in the first inning, he finds a way to get to the 6th or 7th and give you length. It was a question mark I had at the beginning of the year. But having said all of this, Max Fried just seems like he understands what the job is, what the task is. If you came out and said, what was going to be mission number 1 against the Mets today? It was going to be, I'm going to throw the first punch. I'm not nibbling throughout inning number 1 and inning number 2, going to throw 65 pitches through 2. I need to establish myself. I need to establish my dominance against Lindor, against Sodto, against Alonso. What did he do coming out in the first? We've been seeing 94, 95 miles an hour. He's trying to work corners. What did we see? We saw 97, 98. The broadcast said it right away. The stuff was there. So my feeling is this. Sometimes you need to be able to get on the mound and say, what does this group need? What do they need from me? Well, I'll tell you this. When we show up in a rubber match where this game was going to dictate all the momentum for the next 2 or 3 weeks for both of these teams, he showed up firing in inning number 1. I love that. You've got somewhat of a rested bullpen. Those guys would be ready to go. Priority number 1 wasn't length. It was going to be run prevention. Max Fried did that today, Jake. You got to tip your cap again.
Oh, absolutely. Max Fried is just so fun to watch. I hate that he didn't get a chance to win this game, but that's kind of the way it is. That's why he was off to such a crazy start. I think he already had 7 wins, and you're like, I mean, how? It's hard to win in this league. It's hard to get wins as a pitcher, but they're not everything.
Close enough.
6-0, gotcha. Yeah. So, I mean, Max Fried, he only gave it 3 hits, 2 earned runs. I challenged that 1 earned run because I still don't believe that should have gone to him. Now,
can we talk about this? I want you to break down what happened because there are people who missed it. Go ahead.
Yes. So, okay. First off, I'll preface by saying I think Austin Wells swung a great bat today. It didn't have tons of results. He swung a great bat. Wow, I'm doing what I said. I'm doing what I said. What you always get, the whole backhanded compliment.
This is true. Yeah,
but
go ahead.
I don't mean that. I really want to make sure people know, because Wells has been struggling and he looked really good at the plate today. But we'll get into that. We really need to get into this because Max Fried does not deserve 2 earned runs. He deserves 1. He struck out Sodto, made him look silly right after the ball. So here's the deal. This was ruled as a wild pitch from Max Fried. Because of that, that's his run if the guy scores from third to home. I don't believe it should be considered a wild pitch. Gary, you had brought up off air. I thought this was genius point by you.
Thank you.
You called a curveball. So Wells knows it's a curveball. Fried knows it's a curveball. They're on the same page. So at that point, Wells needs to assume that this is likely going to touch ground in the Juan Sodto at bat. It does. Wells is not ready for it. Ball skeets away. But it didn't go behind him, so it's not considered a pass ball because it didn't go to the backstop. Guys, I don't need it to go to the backstop for it to be a pass ball. It wasn't a wild pitch. A wild pitch to me is when you spike the ball and it doesn't even come close to making contact with the chest protector.
You don't give the catcher a chance, essentially.
Exactly. He gave the catcher a chance. He's had strikeout pitches like that. So I don't think he should be given a wild pitch. And I'm not sitting here like it ruined my day that Max Fried got credited with an earned run. I was way more upset about the the no-hitter or what the no-hit that turned into
the change of that call. Obviously, we can read the room and we can tell.
Yeah, Will
did
Warren.
This situation in an 8-2 game, if we had known Cody Bellinger was going to hit a grand slam and it wouldn't have made a difference. But at the time of when that happened, you have to remember Max Fried was trying to preserve a 2-1 lead. You cannot allow a pass ball, and that's it. It was a pass ball. It was a
100%.
curveball or slider. I'm pretty certain it was a curveball that was tailor-made to be blocked. He knows he should have blocked it. And I'm not saying he got up on the air and was like, no, it was a wild pitch. But the point remains, when games are this close, and I promise you, we're going to see more games like this in the regular season. We're going to see more games like this in October. Those plays need to be cleaned up. You're not going to be perfect, but we are going to bring up when you just don't, essentially you don't display the fundamentals when we just need them. And in that moment, we needed them. And I want to bring this up. I do see it in the chat. It's not a super, but occasionally I'll see a chat that's just so good, has to be brought up. And I agree with this completely. And I see that others perhaps do as well. AP10 Blue Shirts with the chat says Fried is pitching better than Cole's Cy Young season. I'm not going to lie. Now, I want to expand on this. I think he absolutely is pitching better. Not only is he pitching better, I think this version of Max Fried, whether it lasts or not, this version of Fried is a better pitcher than Garrett Cole. And I'm going to tell you why, Jake. I trust this pitcher to keep the ball in the ballpark. That's the only reason why. Both of them are excellent in run prevention. Both of them are striking guys out. Both of them are able to keep guys off the base path. They're able to limit walks. What's the difference? Max Fried is a ground ball pitcher. He's got the sinker. He, against some of the best bats, if you had Devers come up to the plate today and Fried is pitching, am I concerned with homers? Am I concerned with four-seam fastballs that he's not getting by hitters on a given night? I'm not. I trust Max Fried more than any other starter I've watched for the Yankees the past decade, maybe 5 to 7 years, I'll say comfortably, that he's going to adjust as the game goes on, and that's why you look up at his record and he's 6-0. He doesn't always have his stuff. He doesn't. Just 2 starts ago, we watched him struggle. Actually, his last start, we watched him struggle to get through 5 innings. Jake, he's just a master at developing as the game goes on and making adjustments, and he doesn't give up hard contact. So I love that point from AP10. I think it's a good one. Maybe everyone won't agree on that, and that's perfectly fine, but I'm all aboard that train.
No, I think it's definitely fair. Max Fried, if the season ended today, has the best earned run average of any Yankee pitcher in the history of baseball in a single season. So currently, Max Fried went up from 111, so now it would be at 129.
129, good God. I mean, that's unbelievable.
So 129, do you know who's in second? I've never even heard of his name before.
What team does he pitch for?
Well, it's the Yankees.
Oh, you're saying on our team?
Yeah, so Yankees franchise.
No clue.
Spud Chandler in 1943, 164. Now, it's without a doubt the greatest pitching season ever for a Yankees. Ron Guidry, 25-3 with a 1.74 ERA. No one is ever going to beat that because pitching nowadays, no one is going to, have a chance to win 25 games. It's just, and you're not going to be able to pitch the way Guidry did. Now it's like you have pitch counts and all that. But Guidry's season in 1978 was spectacular. Mm-hmm. Max Fried he's off to the best ERA start we've ever seen. And so you look at like Garrett Cole, and Garrett Cole don't get me wrong, Garrett Cole was great. The Cy Young season, great. But this is the best pitcher so far. If he keeps this up, this would be the best single season pitching performance for the Yankees since Mariano Rivera. I firmly believe that.
He is? Genuinely. I feel like I see this player every day, and I haven't mentioned it because, there were better points and more important points, especially in the given episode of that day. But I see Andy Pettitte with better stuff. That's who I see. I see a person where I see it in the chat being stoic, just not giving an inch, being able to adjust. There's to some degree you want to be able to trust a pitcher, right? In how he's going to execute. That stuff matters. Like, what do you actually do out there? But there's also to some degree what a player looks like. Do you ever just look at a player and just say, I don't think he's got it?
Yeah.
You look at Garrett Cole, and mind you, Garrett Cole is actually, and I'm going to be clear here, and I never do this. I hate qualifying statements because I feel like I should be allowed to just say what I mean. But Garrett Cole is an appointment watch for me. He's my favorite pitcher I've ever watched pitch for the Yankees. I love watching him pitch. But after I watch him get punched in the mouth, right? I'll see a start. He's got 5 shutout going. Yankees are preserving a 3-0 lead. And all of a sudden I see him give up a 2-run homer. No big deal, right? You give up runs. That's just part of the job. You're going to give up home runs. I don't necessarily trust Garrett Cole in that moment. What comes next? What happens after the other team throws a punch back? What do you do after that? And I think that's the difference between Max Fried and a Luis Gil, Max Fried and a Garrett Cole, is that you're not going to beat this player twice in the same way. Yeah, you might get to him. He's not Sandy Koufax. He's not that talented. But what he does do is he provides a professionalism and an adjustment that the Yankees just haven't had, in my opinion, since maybe Masahiro Tanaka in that series that we played against Houston, where, okay, you get to a fastball, you leave the ballpark. Okay, great. Now I'm gonna pitch you a different type of way. And you don't see him get beat the same way twice. So I love everything about Max Fried. I mentioned before the season, and this is my conclusion on him, he's got all the talent. Jake, you've mentioned his postseason numbers. They're not great. That would surprise me to see him take a postseason mound this year and not have success. It really would.
Yeah, I think a lot has to go with also some of those instances. He came back from injury, so he was kind of out of the zone and everything. So, yeah, I do think that definitely context is needed. He reminds me of Chris Sale, but like just without like the crazy velocity. I think he's very similar to when Chris Sale was at his absolute best. So
you really saw Chris Sale today. He was throwing 98. So maybe today he looked just like Chris Sale for you.
Yeah. No, I know. Well, and they mentioned that like he really pumped the gas today, hitting 98 on the gun. He normally doesn't do that, but he can throw hard. I don't think he wants to. I really don't think that's his game. He's not trying to be a strikeout pitcher. I think there were a lot of instances, especially today, where he was looking for the ground ball, and I think he's smarter. I think having a pitcher that doesn't have an ego, that's already the first box is checked. Having a pitcher that's consistent in his mechanics, second box. Having a pitcher that has location and paints the strike zone, that's the third box. You know what the fourth box is? Having some confidence. Max Fried is confident. He's calm, cool, and collected all the time. Like this dude, nothing phases him. They asked him at the end of the game what he thought about basically having a no-hitter taken away by the umpires and by the scorekeeper. And he's just like, yeah, I don't really care. Or like my favorite one. You know what I knew? It was the first ever start for Max Fried. Can you believe the first start for Max Fried? The Yankees won in a blowout and he didn't get a win. Do you know what Max Fried said about it? I don't care. Team won. That's all that matters. It's hard because think about this. Pitching, you do have other like defenders have to be involved, but pitching essentially in the closed-minded look of things is like you get to be the ball hog, and if you pitch well enough, no one plays baseball. If you could, it's possible. I'm not saying it's likely, but it is possible to send every single batter 27 up, 27 down, and never put the ball in play. And just absolutely make it a one-man wrecking crew type of show. And so that's the thing. Because it is that type of position, you do see guys that tend to have a bit of an ego. But Max Fried, he carries himself in like the same way of like a Giancarlo Stanton as a pitcher.
I agree with that 100%. Awesome. I think that's a great take. And by the way, I think Max Fried, just to tie it all in a bow here, Jake, that take is perfect. I think both of those players, in Stanton and in Fried, they both know ultimately they're going to be judged on what happens when it comes to winning and losing. It's not going to be about, did you go give us some Robbie Ray performance where you went 5 innings every time you went out there and struck out 10? Because ultimately, our bullpen's going to be ravished if our now ace gives us no length whatsoever and just has no ability to read the room and understand this team needs innings. They need me to change the way I'm pitching and adapt. And sometimes there's going to be a situation where I don't deserve to be a part of the game, and I can go into the post game and make it about me. I'm this $200 million lefty and just kick my feet. And we've seen other players who will remain nameless because this is a positive show today. But some players will say, no, I'm this. No, I'm that. Oh, I should have been here. Well, then go play like that. Max Fried, if he plays a certain way and Aaron Boone is essentially put in a corner and he has to make a certain decision that doesn't make Max Fried look very good in the moment, he's all for it because he wants us to win. And I love that about him because ultimately we're going to look at Max Fried. If we win a World Series at any point the next, really, over the span of his contract, we're going to look at Max Fried as a success. I promise you. Why do I know this? Because there is no player that's highly paid for the Yankees that we look at a World Series team and complain that they were a part of it. Every single time we look at each of those players as a success story. CC Sabathia, he wasn't great every year. But you know what CC Sabathia did for the Yankees? He was great in the year that mattered. He was great when we needed him to be great. That's what Max Fried understands. And it seems like some players will tell you that, oh, I only care about winning. But then you'll see evidence in the middle of the regular season that says otherwise. It says that they care about their numbers, their stats, their innings, right? All this different stuff. Max Fried is everything that the Yankees possibly could have thought they were investing in. So I'm proud to call him a Yankee. I didn't want him here. I will put my hand up and tell you, Jake, you know this. I thought he struggled to stay on the mound. He struggled to stay healthy, and that still remains to be seen what he looks like. From obviously you're sitting here in May and then you're going to look at him in October. Is he still the same guy? But he's done everything he could have so far. And Apex with the Super says Boston and LA will turn us into temp Yanks fans. Mets fans. Yeah. I don't
know what that means.
I have absolutely no clue what that means, but I would assume.
Appreciate you, Apex, regardless.
I would assume that for me personally, I'll speak for me and then I'll let Jake speak for himself. Mm-hmm. I don't care at all. Like the Dodgers just got swept by the Angels, right? This week. They completed the sweep today, right? The Padres were swept today. I don't care what they're doing. If the Yankees don't show they can consistently improve the at-bats, the quality of their at-bats, nothing else, fundamentals of their at-bats and fielding, I guess, late in games, tie game, up 1, down 1, if they don't show significant improvement, they're not going to win anyway. So I don't care what those teams do. They're going to be there at the end anyway, waiting on us. And if we can show we're better in these ways, only then can we turn around and say, all right, well, let's beat the Dodgers in front of us.
Okay, so he's saying the Mets play the Red Sox and Dodgers this week tomorrow.
I'm rooting for the Mets to lose every game. I want the Mets to go 0-162.
Yeah, I don't like the Mets at all.
That's how I feel. I don't like them.
Also, genuinely speaking, I saw a lot today on social media. The whole, the whole division lost today, so this is a must-win for the Yankees. Nope. It was always a must-win for the Yankees. I don't give a rippity-doo-dah what the Orioles did or Tampa or I don't care. I can't stress enough. Maybe I'm a bad fan in this regard. It's not football to me. Football's different. You get 17 games. That's it. So if your division, those teams are just winning like crazy, oh, yeah, we'll be fine. We only lost one game. Yeah, but they won all their games. Like, that to me is more worrisome.
That's a good point.
You play this team. I think they play the same team 16 times. Don't they play the division like 16 times?
Yes, you play. Okay, you play so many games in baseball. Technically speaking, if you just worry about yourself, and then obviously you can have some fun with it. You can, if you see the Mets on TV, you can tell them to go beat Rock. They're in the NL East, so they don't matter to us. But it's fun to watch them lose. I'm sorry, you essentially signed our second best player. You showed up to Yankee Stadium. We kicked you in the nuts, and we sent you on your way. Go play another team. That's what we did.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to watch that. I am. And the way I look at it, the second best team in the American League East, Jake, we're high on this team still. We think that they're going to figure it out at some point. In the Boston Red Sox, they are 23-25. They are 2 games under 500, right? So if the Yankees do it at all what they're supposed to do, why would a team that's probably going to end up winning 88-89? The Red Sox are probably going to win just south of 90 games this season. Mm-hmm. Why would you sweat it out about what they did today? Obviously, we'd rather them lose games. It makes it even easier on us. But, guys, if we show up and take care of business, we'll go where we need to go anyway.
It's how I feel. I mean, it's the same way. I feel the same way about, the NBA. No one gives a rip about divisions in the NBA. Maybe a different way. Like, no one really cares at all about divisions in the NBA. They have a lot more, I will say, a lot more to do in the MLB. But I just, gone are the days where I'm like, oh, man, division rivalry. They're boring games, man. Going up against the Rays, I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to a game against Tampa or Toronto or the Orioles. They're boring ass games.
What teams are those? I think right now it's still Houston. Anytime we play Houston, I feel like there's something. There's something there. They turn over rosters with the best of them. All of a sudden, you look at first base. It's Christian Walker. All of a sudden, you look up and say, "Oh, Correa was this big face that we always looked at." They're like, we're not bringing him back. He can go to Minnesota.
Yankees Red Sox is still prevalent, in my opinion.
Yeah, we have to beat the Red Sox, 100%.
And I think when you go to Fenway, it's like an event, right? It just is. It feels different.
Yeah.
It's just different baseball. It's a completely different structure than most stadiums.
And I think bring it, by the way. They've got a good fan base. They show up to the yard.
Yeah.
So we don't have to say anything bad about them. I mean,
no, there's a passion there. I respect Red Sox fans, and I respect that rivalry. That is a rivalry. To me, Tampa, Toronto, Baltimore, there just isn't enough there for me to be like I will tell you right now, anybody that thinks the Yankees-Mets isn't a rivalry, look at the way the media portrayed this series. I'm serious. Baseball never gets covered like this. And Juan Sodto coming back to the Bronx, it was like top headlines. So don't tell me this isn't a rivalry. It absolutely is. And I could sit here and say, oh, it's just the Mets. They haven't won anything. And I could pretend it's not a rivalry, but that's delusional because I was so excited for this series. This is the most excited I've been for a series all year. I'm not going to sit here and lie about it because it makes me sound like little brother, because the big brother doesn't care about the little. No, it was good for baseball, I thought. That was a great series for baseball.
But that's what this generation does. They say that they're going to try at something, and then if they lose, they say that they didn't really care about it anyway. It's like
every time.
It's this new generation. But I guess
I'll never forget video games, like how they'd be like, "Oh, bro, you were trying, bro. I wasn't even trying.
I wasn't even trying." Yeah,
that started with our generation, Gary.
Yeah, it really did. But okay, so when it comes to rivalries, by the way, guys, if a team is your rival, do you even get hyped up at all about the series? Are you like, I really want to beat these guys? Because I promise you, if the Blue Jays went to Yankee Stadium, nobody on Twitter, nobody at Yankee Stadium is like, what should we do with Santander when he gets up to the plate? Should we do this, or should we boo, or should we give him a standing ovation? Are we going to play a video? There's nobody on the Blue Jays roster where we're like, honestly, the most manufactured headline with the whole organization, and they're in division, is Vladimir Guerrero Jr., whether or not he likes the Yankees or not. That's literally the biggest headline. That is not even close to a rivalry. If a team comes into town and you're like, I really want to beat these guys, that's the rivalry. And the crowd noise and just the overall atmosphere, the players will tell you who's the real rival. Boston comes into town, yeah, all of us, all the podcasters are all coming out the woodworks. It's a big game.
It's a big, anytime Boston, and I will say, to be fair, like good teams, like when the Orioles were good last year, we couldn't wait to go to that game. Obviously,
that's right.
We got rug pulled hard. I mean, that was more of a that was such a rug pull, man. That was not fair, because we get there and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, Nestor isn't pitching. It's actually Marcus Stroman, and we're like, no. And then he gave up like 13 hits. But point being, that game had stakes. The Yankees that day, we thought we were going to watch the Yankees clinch the AL East against the Orioles.
Yeah, we sure did. That was exactly what we were talking about. I feel like, by the way, what happened to us, we went for the celebration. I feel like it's like going to Rubio's, and I used to order these bean and cheese burritos, and every once in a while, right? Once in a while, like once out of every 10 trips I go all the time, I'd bite into my bean and cheese burrito, and there would be a cube of onion just square in the middle of it. That's what it was like. When Marcus Stroman took the mound that day, and we were still rooting for the guy, but man, he gave up, what was it, 13 hits?
Jason
10 runs.
Dominguez was enjoying his time in left field.
Yeah, he hadn't quite developed defensively yet. That was some of the darker days. But yeah, is there any other storyline that happened today? Because I want to make sure before we go, I want to make sure that we cover everything. I'm interested to see what our chat thinks, what they do want to talk about. Is there anything that you missed?
I don't think I missed anything. I think we covered on everything I wanted to get to. The Bellinger hustle play, loved that. I feel like that's also funny. You watch Juan Sodto, on one hand, he could have beat out the DJ LeMahieu throw, but he's jogging. Mm-hmm. And then Cody Bellinger, who didn't hit it as far as Juan Sodto did. And honestly, that Juan Sodto, that barely, like LeMahieu made a hell of a play. He has really looked good with the glove. But, man, Bellinger is just absolutely hauling ass out of the box. You love to see it. And I think this is, Judge getting the diving catch and everything in right field. I mean this, and it comes off as sour grapes. It's really not. Juan Sodto was never a good outfielder for the Yankees. He was a liability. He was about as much of a liability in right field as any of the guys in the infield. The problem,
for the Yankees, he wasn't a good outfielder for the Nationals. He had a good arm. That's what the analytics
But that's the thing. He had a good arm. Big deal. Like, so today when he made those plays, like, that's the greatest I've ever seen him look. And it's just like, for me, I look at the way Judge is playing in right field. And, Dodgers fans are still sending you he dropped the pop-up. And I've never seen a team celebrate, like, bad defensive play like that before. It's borderline weird at this point. Like, I would rather celebrate the fact we had the grand slam. We out handled you pitching wise and had big hits and big moments instead of relegating the whole series to that one inning. It's just weird. It makes it closer than it actually was. I never understood that. But the point being is that Judge gets all of this hate for his postseason. He can't escape the fly ball. I see that GIF every single day. Every single day I see it. And yet everyone quiets down as soon as he takes right field and he's making diving catches and he's throwing guys out. And I think people need to understand Judge is one of the best right fielders in the game. And he moved over to center. To your point, Gary, you said this last year. Hey, why isn't he playing in left? Because he's not a good fielder. He can't play the left field dimensions at Yankee Stadium. It's way harder than people realize. So he played right field, and he wasn't good at right field. And you see the difference between him and Bellinger is that play that Dominguez missed. See, Dominguez missed it, and Bellinger was there to back him up. Last year, we saw multiple times Aaron Judge in center field would miss a play, and he'd put some effort, but again, he's a defensive lineman trying to play center field, which is for essentially the speedy running backs. Those are the type of guys that should be playing center. So here's the deal, Gary. Anytime Judge would miss something, Juan Sodto was the worst at backing up players like that. You watch Bellinger early on in his Yankee career, and he has one of the greatest relay plays he's a part of I've ever seen from this team.
Yankees don't do that.
It leads me to this final point I'm going to make. If you could erase everything and bring Juan Sodto back to the Yankees, I would be against it because I know what that comes with. We talked about it yesterday. I wouldn't trade away Max Fried for him. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't do it. I think Max Fried is so valuable for this team. I wouldn't do it. And at the same time, I think the Yankees are a better team in a sense because the defense is better without Juan Sodto. The base running is better without Juan Sodto. Like, I understand how that sounds to people, but I'm big on, do you want to be here? And kind of the attitude. And for me, knowing what you have in Max Fried and how hard it is to find pitchers, I would not erase this. I would not have a do-over. I'm going to deal with it. I understand the way people say it. Well, with Sodto, you're talking about after Judge. Yes. But with Sodto, you're talking about a not as good version as Aaron Judge, and he's going to be a DH for the rest of his career as soon as he hits that point. So I don't necessarily think if I had to get rid of Fried for him, I don't think I would do that, Gary. I just don't.
Okay. So this is my. First of all, that's perfectly valid. This is what I'm going to say about it. Now, do I think the Yankees are a better team if they just traded straight up? Obviously, given the injuries that have happened, you have no Garrett Cole. You need Fried. They have to have this player. But that's obviously down the road as things have bounced a certain direction. Multiple moves have been made. I would obviously, for me personally, I would take Sodto in a heartbeat.
That's fair.
I'm gonna say this. I really think there's something to just riding with the guys that want to play for you. Max Fried was supposed to sign in Boston. You've mentioned this before.
Yeah.
That's where everybody in the industry, everyone, Nightingale, any name you pop up, they thought Boston needs an arm. This is before they dealt for Crochet. They're going to want to go out there and go get a Fried. They're going to spend the money. And all of a sudden, you look up and Sodto makes his own personal decision. I want to go play across town at Citi Field. I want to do this. It's about family, Steve Cohen. It wasn't. It was about something else. But the point is, he wanted to go do something else. Let him do that. That's okay. That's part of this business. But having said that, there are some players the Yankees ended up bringing in. Paul Goldschmidt didn't have to sign a one-year deal with the Yankees. He could have taken more money. He had two-year deals out there on the market, and he chose to come play for the Yankees. Max Fried, he took a lot of money to come play for the Yankees. He made the decision, I want to pitch big games for this team. Garrett Cole, he's had some arm troubles in 2024. There's a reasonable doubt that I could have. I'm going to be the ace for this team in 2025. Am I ready for that? Am I ready to take responsibility for that role under those lights? And he chose, I want that. It's exactly what I want. So to some degree, when you get up here and you say, well, who do I want on my team? I want people that want to be here. That's my only thing. And I'm going to root for the guy who chose to be here. So I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, I didn't want him anyways. I didn't want him to come to my party anyway.
I did. Right. Yeah.
But my thing is, once you've decided you don't want to come to my birthday party, I'm not going to sit there and cry when there were friends that I had who did show up. You've just got to turn around and celebrate with the dudes who want to be your dudes. That's what I'm saying essentially. So yeah, Sierra with the chat says, who's a member on our channel, says Jason's hustle was, emphasis on was, a clutch play, and it blew everything open. I completely agree to some degree. Everyone says clutch. They think David Ortiz, right? Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, clutch homers in October, November. But there's also winning plays. And winning teams just do the right thing when you need it. And you never know when the right time is until the game's over. Sometimes you just running. You're a top prospect. Jason Dominguez doesn't have to run it out. He's going to play tomorrow. Maybe we have an off day tomorrow, but you get the point. The next time the Yankees play, Jason Dominguez doesn't have to worry about his job. He's going to be fine. The Yankees put a ton into him in international money. He's a top prospect. He is going to play. Boone trusts him. So did he have to Sierra's point here, the hustle, did he have to do that? No. He did it anyways. Obviously, Juan Sodto had a different decision today. He's got the big contract, same exact deal. He's not going to lose his job. One player chose to do one thing, another different personality chose to do another, and obviously the player who ran was a part of the winning formula today. So good on Jason Dominguez. I think that's a good habit to show, at least at the beginning, and he can dial it back later, but at least here in the short term, give us all the energy you got. And Mark was actually at the game, I believe, says great series, some mishaps. I definitely agree there were some mishaps. Is it just me, or has Dominguez been hesitant on the bases since his throwout at home? In my opinion, 3 times he could have scored, trusting Soto's arm and right too much. Now,
I'm going to chalk it up to Rojas.
I am going to. Well, so first off, to some degree, it is your responsibility as a base runner to present yourself like a runner who could score. Jason Dominguez was already pulling up at third base with the expectation, short porch in right field. You need to know Juan Sodto is in right field. He's one of the worst defensive outfielders in the game. He's a great player who's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's not going to the Hall of Fame because of his glove or his arm. So you need to know ball is scorched out to the outfield. Honestly, regardless of who's playing out there, I need to be busting it around the bases, make Rojas make a decision. And honestly, yeah, I've mentioned, Jake, over the last few days, I didn't like a secondary lead. I mean, this is nitpicky stuff. But Jason Dominguez, there was a situation today where he also got to first base, and I was thinking to myself, It's a 2-2 game. You've got legs. Michael K. raves about it every single day. You mean to tell me you're just station to station? You didn't even think about going to second base? I thought that was odd. So, yeah, Mark, I did detect some hesitancy on the bases today. I didn't think it was an overwhelming problem, but it is something to talk about, I guess.
I think base runners are so important in such a close game. It can go either way. Because at one way you look at it and you're like, oh, you need to get in a scoring position. But on the other, it's like, man, I don't know if we can afford him getting thrown out here. So it's interesting. It is. I mean, I don't think you're wrong either way that you see it. But thank you, JSP. I don't really know what that means in currency wise, but
what does anybody know what currency I'm looking at? It looks
Great
like
show as
Monopoly
always.
money, doesn't it? You owe me 3,000 Monopoly monies. But we really, in all seriousness, thank you for
Yes.
supporting the show. I mean, that's big time. Says great show as always. Keep up the good work. And again, for those of you who are new here, we do put a lot of time into the show, and sometimes we just throw stuff against the wall, and we just love talking baseball. But this is an everyday. This is an everyday podcast where we're trying to learn, and you'd think we'd really know a lot about it, given the fact we don't miss a pitch. I mean, I've literally even got my mom watching every pitch at this point. We don't miss anything. So there's certainly stuff, by the way, that we do miss about the game, and our chat definitely educates us on some of it. So yeah, thank you so much for acknowledging the type of work we put in, because that is true. We definitely, I'm not going to say we do good work, because I'm not going to compliment ourselves like that, but we definitely work hard on this podcast. So I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it too. And I mean, there's nobody I'd rather do a Yankees show with than Gary, because I can't stress enough. Well, of course, I can't stress enough how important it is to be prepared, show up, know your shit. And I'm lucky, like I have other co-hosts as well for different sports, and I'm lucky to have everybody. But yeah, Gary, there is never an instance where we have a show and Gary's like, yeah, I don't know what happened.
That's Korean money.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, it's won? Oh, it's Korean won. I've actually heard of that.
You have?
Yeah, Korean won for Juan Sodto getting belt to ass.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but no,
Yeah.
we
I'm moving on to
it.
this super chat before somebody clips it and we get in trouble. Mark with the 5 says, to follow up, I don't know how it was the other 2 days, but the Yanks fans let the Mets get a little too loud throughout the game. Need to bring more energy. That's part of the rivalry, right? Rivalry doesn't always have to do with, do the Mets win World Series and do the Yankees win it? To some degree, it also is showing up to the park and not letting them populate. It is still New York, right? They're a hop, skip, and a jump away. They're going to make their way to Yankee Stadium. But to Mark's point, you need to be louder. And I thought today the Yankees fans showed out. They were strong today. And I can't say that always. Sometimes I look at Yankee Stadium and I'm like, is it? Well, first of all, if it was a group of me's out there, I know it wouldn't look like this. I know if it was a group of our chat, the chat that we have at Yankee Stadium, I know it wouldn't look, it feels like it's like the Suits Day. And Yankee Stadium today was different. It seemed rowdy. It seemed young. It was good. So, Mark, you should have been happy about today. It seemed like a good showing.
Yes, Mark, absolutely. And again, if anybody thinks they're not a rivalry, look at when they cut to like Times Square and everybody's just watching in like that like corner, like there's chairs set up. It looked like we were watching like the NBA Finals, and it's like
could
the
you
Knicks are in
imagine
the
all
NBA
the
Finals.
stuff to do at Yankee Stadium, and you're like, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to go to Times Square and prop up a chair. I'm like, you don't have a TV at home? Go to the game.
I mean, no hate. I thought it was kind of cool, like a little community effort there, but it was surprising. I was just like, you normally don't see that for a regular season game, which again means it's more than just a regular season game.
Yeah, it wasn't Times Square, but I can't remember where it was. But does it
wasn't
matter?
Times Square? Okay, yeah.
No,
They said it was Times Square. I was just listening to the broadcast. You meant belt to cheeks.
Cheeks is a historic.
Oh my
YouTube
God.
name.
Cheeks is literally the greatest thing ever. We must protect Cheeks of all times.
That's right. It was the World Trade Center. That's exactly where it was.
World Trade Center. That's
okay, so the one aspect of that I do like is the tribute, obviously, to the World Trade, because obviously during that time it's like it's a New York thing, right? So I don't know. I don't think I have too much of a problem with that. But
No.
I will say, I feel like going to a sports bar would probably be much better than sitting outside and watching the game. But I don't
New
know.
York
I guess
is
to
at
Mark's
the
point.
epicenter right now of entertainment. I mean, when you look at this series, and then while you have this series go on, the Knicks go on to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like,
Wow, hell is frozen over. The Knicks finally get it done, huh?
well, we'll see if they can get past the Pacers, but it is kind of a wild year. Pacers, Knicks, and Timberwolves and OKC. I never want to hear the NBA has no parity ever again.
Yeah, just what the NBA needs to go play NBA Finals games. They're like, we're gonna go play in New York City, the mecca of basketball, and then we're gonna go to Oklahoma. And Oklahoma, by the way, like there's some beautiful spots there, but
Yeah.
it's not New York. So
Yeah, the most like NBA
the
will
Knicks.
actually be pissed if it's like Indiana and OKC. They'll be like, we had the Knicks right in the palm of our hands for the viewership. Do you know how bad the viewership spike would be? It'd be horrendous. It'd be so bad.
I don't think I'd
drop-off.
watch it. I mean,
Well, I mean,
I watch Yankees baseball every day anyway.
We
so
talk
I'm
about
sure
this
I'd
all
get
the
over
time,
it, but
though.
come on.
When it goes back to, ironically, the Texas Rangers and I believe it was Texas, right? It was Texas and Arizona.
In Arizona, yeah, and obviously I was happy about that. It was
Yeah.
the hometown D-backs team, and
But when people
Man.
say it was good for baseball, I was like,
Oh my
I
God.
disagree.
Can you
I think
believe
it's
they say
bad for
that?
baseball because who's going to watch that? You want eyes. The best thing for baseball last year possible happened. It was the Yankees and the Dodgers. There could not have been a better matchup as
if
far
we
as
played better, it would have been
generating.
the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that was not good for baseball. That actually set baseball back. I believe that because
Oh,
every
the Corbin
year,
Carroll, it wasn't necessarily about Corbin Carroll. It was the Arizona Diamondbacks. Nobody cares about the Diamondbacks, and I grew up around this team. Nobody cares. You go to a Diamondbacks Cubs game, it is let's go Cubbies, the whole game. You could see the Rockies come to town. Essentially Arizona is a place that people from cold states, they just fly in.
Wait, hold on.
What?
The Rockies, they have like 8 wins.
The Colorado Rockies, it is 50-50 at Chase Field. I
Hey,
swear to
those
God, I'm not even
fans
trying to be funny.
deserve everything then. They deserve everything. If you are going to Colorado Rockies games on the daily, you deserve to find a pot of gold under your house. I don't know what else to say because
they seriously do.
That team is unwatchable. Unwatchable.
Oh, this is true, by the way. I want to throw this up on the screen. And I have the ticket here somewhere. I mean, it's not far away. I don't know. It's somewhere. Anyway, I was at Game 7 of the World Series in 2001. So I was the lucky charm, right?
There you go.
And to my mom's, and this isn't Game 7. I was at multiple games in that series, and I was at the game where the Yankees were blown out by the Diamondbacks. I don't remember the exact score. I was 7, right? This is 01. I was born in 93. Well, I was actually rooting for the Diamondbacks at that time, right? Dad hadn't played for the team yet.
Yeah.
And I was badgering Yankees fans in center field all game. And here's the funny part. I had, and my mom will confirm this, I had Yankees fans leaving early crying. I had a grown man. I was 7 years old. And this, I don't even remember what I literally told this guy. I was like,
You were a
what's
demon child.
I was like, what's a Yankee, like a net? That's what I said. It didn't even make sense. And the dude was crying. He was in tears. Like a 35-year-old man. My mom obviously will have to attest to how old he actually was. But I legitimately I was killing these guys. And obviously, had I known I was going to be part of the fan base, I probably would have gone a little easier on them.
Yeah, but I mean, things change, and obviously we're glad that you chose the Yankees after everything.
Yeah. Easy decision. When George Steinbrenner is the owner of the team and he treats you the way he did. This is also another true story, by the way, is that I was going to a funeral And on the plane over to this service, George Steinbrenner happened to be sitting in the same aisle as me on the plane, right? Because he's going to the funeral. He knows that I'm going to the funeral. He actually flies to Arizona to fly with us to this service, and I spill a soda on my grandpa's lap. Well, the entire seat was ruined. George Steinbrenner realized that there was nowhere for us to sit now in our traditional seats. He stood the entire flight in the middle of the aisle as my grandpa sat down and I was sitting. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
So it was an easy decision to be a Yankees fan. I mean, when it's all said and done, when you're treated like that, I think it's an obvious choice.
Isn't it funny how people act like they know who these guys are just because the way the media portrays them?
Yeah, like he's some hothead dick that just wants to trade everybody. He doesn't want anybody.
The way that is so funny. The way the media portrays George Steinbrenner is like he's out to dinner and he's just screaming about Derek Jeter just like dropping a fly ball or something. Like
they
he's
treat
still
him like
talking
he's Jerry.
about it.
They treat him like he's Jerry Jones. Like he just is off his rocker. He's just gonna throw money at the problem, and it's like
I met Jerry Jones twice. He's actually a pretty nice dude.
I would assume he's nicer. I mean, they treat him like he's the Antichrist. I'm pretty sure he's nicer than what you guys are making him seem.
Yeah, I mean, do I have issues with the way like maybe he runs the organization a little bit? Sure, because I don't think owners should get involved entirely in the day-to-day. But George, one thing you can't say about him is he didn't skimp on making a team better. And he would look at this team right now, or team last year. Dude, last year they absolutely would have made a big move. They probably would have ended up with Yandy Diaz. That's probably who they would have ended up with. And they
Anthony Vulpi, he probably would have ran on the field and tackled him today.
No, Anthony Vulpi he would not be starting today with George Steinbrenner.
Oh my God. George Steinbrenner would have went out there with a forearm shiver straight to Anthony Vulpi. You ground out twice. Well, you strike out and then you ground out. You chase ball 3 times in a row. You leave 8 guys on base. Hitting
he just
fifth.
Dives out of the freaking press box on top.
He's killing
belly flops on Vulpi. Oh yeah.
So anyways, we have no Yankees tomorrow. Let's make some picks with Profit X. We can't choose the Yankees, so we've got to choose. Let's choose a team that we're rooting against and then go from there because I think that'll be fun.
Well, no, let's just do because like obviously we can't do it now, but let's just go over the matchup on Monday with Profit
Okay, perfect.
X.
Yeah,
And,
who are we playing by the way?
The Rangers. So actually kind of a fun series. See, there are teams like that when a team is good, like that's fun. Like the Rangers coming to Yankee Stadium, even when they're not great, that's just an organization I'm like, okay, I like playing against them. You know, I find these games more enjoyable than playing against like Toronto or Tampa, right? So, and by the way, this is a good week for the Yankees. Texas is not a good road team. They're not.
Oh, nice.
They're 8-13.
Don't we play Colorado?
They play Colorado Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Sell your houses. Put your for sale signs up.
Schmidt,
sell
Fried,
everything
and
and put it all on the Yankees to win against the Rockies. No, I'm kidding. The Rocky. It's Major League Baseball. It doesn't matter who you play. We have to take care of business. Some of the best teams in baseball this week. The Padres were swept. The Dodgers were swept. Actually, I'm not sure if the Padres were swept, but I'm fairly certain they were. I know LA was swept by the Angels, which is crazy to say. You've got to go out and take care of business. So it is baseball. Mark with the super. I want to make sure we get to this. Says, speaking of owners, Dolan, he's talking about the Knicks here, really changed his tune. Have you seen his tradition of giving away a game ball to a little kid on the street, his last 2 home wins? That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Because that is eventually that's your customer. If you don't build an audience of young people to some degree, I mean, you don't have to tailor it like you're Mr. Beast, where your main person watching is 7. It doesn't have to be that. But you can't ignore the young people just because they can't give you $1 right now. So I think that's pretty cool right there.
No, I like that. I think that's cool. And I mean, James Dolan needed to kind of reinvent himself a little bit because obviously when you don't win for a while, it's just not working. And fun fact, I'm not entirely sure if it's a jazz band or what, but he is, I believe, the lead singer of a jazz band.
Dolan?
Yeah, James Dolan.
He's a singer?
I gotta look it up because I forget what I was told, but yeah, he's like James Dolan is in a band. Literally,
James
look
Dolan
up James
does
Dolan. It
sound
says
like-
band.
James Dolan sounds like a quality artist from like the 80s. But
JD and the Straight Shot.
he's not. I'm pretty sure he was born in like the late 40s.
Yeah, it's
So.
JD and the Straight Shot is a country blues and roots rock vanity project. Frontman James L. Dolan formed in 2001.
Yeah.
So now you know.
Yeah, well, Mark says he's seen him live. Mark goes to everything live. He went to the game today. He saw
wow.
James Dolan. I mean, he's a local. I mean, I'm assuming he's a local New York guy. So yeah, so we're essentially going to predict what's happening in this Rangers series. So let's just do game one. Who's pitching for us in game one?
So it's Will Warren taking on Patrick Corbin, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. There's not a ton, like only 10 at bats, but the best that I see here, I like DJ LeMahieu. He has 2 home runs against Patrick Corbin. So
It's also low velocity, by the way. Like, it's not going to be 97, 98. Something that DJ, especially an aging player, he's shown that he does tend to struggle with velocity. In theory, he should start. We've got a day off. Should be rested, ready to go.
He needs to start every day from here on out. Like
I would agree with you. B-Boss probably won't play. We likely see Peraza over there at third base. You get that little platoon bat. DJ LeMahieu, that'd be a nice little homer for the road, huh? Don't you think?
I like the total bases, but this is a home game.
Okay, so we might get a short porch job, is what you're saying.
Yes, definitely possible. I like DJ's total bases though, because he hits well against Corbin. The Rangers are 8-13 on the road, and the Yankees have actually shot up to 15-9 at home. So
okay, something we didn't necessarily do a great job of last year. I didn't like how we were playing at home. We did not, for whatever reason, you could say whatever you want about our 1-2 punch. They didn't play at Yankee Stadium the way they really should. So we've got great fans. Obviously, earlier in the season with bad weather, people are going to try and clip whatever you want. But when the weather is somewhat even practical, the Yankees fans bring it. So, I think the Yankees right now are doing a good job.
And by the way, Will Warren's opposing batting average at home is 185, and on the road it's 260. So he's a better home pitcher, I would say. And
that's good.
I think that'll be good for him. I actually like the Yankees in this one a lot.
I agree.
I understand.
For me.
Yeah, I understand Corbin has kind of found himself, and there are a lot of memes out there as to why, and I won't get into that. But
I'm going to look it up as soon as we get off.
The presidents.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
But I got to be honest. I got to stick by my gut here. Patrick Corbin normally doesn't pitch well against the Yankees. He just doesn't. And I am not sold on Patrick Corbin. I'm just not. I'm not. So I like the way the Yankees came off this, this series. I like that they stay at the stadium for this series. And I like the way Will Warren's been throwing the ball. He got screwed over on the 2 runs they gave him after the game was over. And so I think he's going to continue that. And I think the Yankees, they're due for some power because they did not have a lot of power in this, this past series with the Mets. So I think we see some home runs in this series. But as far as Profit X, over 1.5 total bases, DJ LeMahieu, lock it in. Will Warren, I'm going to take the over on the strikeouts. I think he's going to be fired up. I like the way he's been pitching as of late. 50 strikeouts in 41 innings. And I'm actually going to take the over in the 1 through 5 innings.
Who are you right now?
I know,
this,
right?
By the way.
But
this is a good play.
I think the Yankees off day, coming off a really emotional series, I think they're just going to play loose, man. I think a lot of those guys, they are kind of, you could see it was a little tight. Like I thought Judge had some of those moments as well. This is the team. Isn't this the team Judge hit the 62nd home run against?
I don't remember who he hit the home run against.
He hit the 61st or 62nd against. I don't remember which one.
No, I remember that.
Texas.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say this. This is my one pick. And this may sound crazy. I think Will Warren is absolutely going over 5.5 strikeouts.
Oh,
wherever they, because
Definitely.
The Yankees are going to score. I've mentioned this many times, and I want to remind it as we conclude here. You have got to score. When you have your 3 through 5 starters out there, you cannot rely on them to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. And anytime you go out there and you offer 2 or 3 runs of support with your 3 to 5 starter out there, you're essentially begging that pitcher to be pulled in the middle of the 4th inning because Aaron Boone feels like we've got to lock it down, keep it here. We're down 3-1. It can't go any further than this. You can't ask Will Warren to stay in the game, give you an over, or even give you a productive start because the score dictates that. The Yankees, in theory, should score plenty against Patrick Corbin. We know he's been better, but it's still Patrick Corbin. I expect him to be Patrick Corbin against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Crowd should be rowdy, should be ready to go. And then what happens next? Will Warren stays in the game. He's going to give up some runs, but he should pitch more confident, stay in the game, get his strikeouts with the great stuff we know he has. And Mark, I want to make sure we get to the super and we don't forget about him. Mark, you've been great today. Thank you for the 5.
Thank you, Mark.
Says, every time the Yankees play the Rangers, I always harp back to Posada's walk-off home run. God, I love that. And the 9-run deficit erase, one of the greatest games I'll ever go to. That's awesome.
Oh, my God. He was there. I have a funny story about this, and I know my father's going to watch this. I had a little mini box, like 18-inch TV in my room because I was a lot younger, obviously, when Posada was walking off home runs.
Yeah.
And it was bedtime. I had,
You had a bedtime as a kid?
I mean, it wasn't heavily enforced. It was just more like, hey, go to bed, please. Yeah, later. So, I would just keep the TV on when my dad went downstairs. And he told me, he's like, Jake, you should turn this off. They're not coming back. They're down 9-1 or 8-1 or whatever it was. Like, they're not coming back. And I never believed that. I was like, you know what? You just got to believe, Dad. And he's like, I've watched a lot of games where nothing has happened. I've seen maybe like 2 where something has happened. There's nothing happening with this one. You can shut the lights off, go to bed. I did not give up on this team. So I remember when they were, mounting that comeback, and I'll never forget the feeling I had. And that was probably the worst day in my sports fandom because that gave me false hope for all my bad teams. Like when the Rams were bad, Jayhawk football. I was like, well, but I watched the Yankees come back from 10-1. So in the 9th inning or 8th inning, anything can happen.
Never happens. That's the beauty in it. And by the way,
yeah.
I feel like Mark has been at everything. Mark was at the 27 World Series. He's like Marlins man. He buys every ticket. But in all seriousness, Mark, we really appreciate your support. Yeah, Jake, we got anything else? I think that
brought me back.
Yeah, we got our picks. We covered Anthony Vulpi. I know somebody earlier was asking us if we touched on that. We absolutely did. You can, once the episode is up and it's no longer live, you can go scroll to the beginning. We wanted to talk about that, what those at-bats look like with the bases loaded. They were putrid. They were bad. But we didn't want to overshadow all the good that happened today. And there was a lot of it, especially when it really mattered at the end of a close game. So cheers to Cody Bellinger being back to form.
Yes, definitely. I wanted to add on to your pick of Will Warren going over the K's and why I feel confident. He needs to go length, right, in order to have strikeouts. You got to actually pitch. My theory is this. It doesn't always work out this way. But I feel like going into it, a good feeling is that he's already coming off a really good start. He's coming off of a few really good starts he's put together, and he's starting to look good. And so while he already has confidence instilled in himself, the Yankees have confidence built in him, and you have an off day, I don't have to save and conserve my bullpen because of the off day. So because he's coming off the off day, I think that, in that case, I think they'll let him go. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, back to back or whatever, we got to use these guys or use these guys. I think coming off that, you can kind of, okay, we have an off day. All these guys are good to go. And when we need them, we'll use them, but we don't have to press to use them or press not to use them. So I could see that being the case. But yeah, that's what I have. Dingers for the road. I guess I'll just go with LeMahieu. But I feel like total bases is where you're going to get the most value there on the plays. So I think I might honestly just transition to total bases. Dingers for the road sounds cool, but total bases I feel like is more sustainable, more consistent. And it still kind of sends the same message. I think this guy is going to come through with a hit that's at least a double. Okay, if he hits a home run, you still get the total bases. But if he doesn't hit a home run, you're not sitting there like, oh, I lost. You know, it's hard. He's only going to hit maybe 10 home runs the whole year. So,
yeah, I do feel it's a bit ridiculous. But like DJ LeMahieu's going to hit a home run tomorrow. It's like, okay. But, okay.
Total bases, though. I like it.
But by the way, and before we go, obviously don't put it in the live chat. Put it in the video itself after we're gone. Drop your favorite baseball player that played before 2005. I want to see some nostalgic names. That for me,
we gotta read some of the cool ones.
We'll read. Oh, when now? Oh, you talking about the relievers? I saw Scott Proctor on there.
I wanted to do backflips when I saw that. I saw
Scott Proctor. Scott Proctor is my favorite thing that I saw in the comment section. I'm glad you said it, but yeah Scott Proctor being in there is great. And Mark is with the $10 apology. Says $10 to apologize to DJ Fun. Didn't want him back. I agree with you 100%, Mark. I didn't even want him in a jumpsuit in the dugout. I didn't want him anywhere near Yankee Stadium to even just smell the dugout. I didn't want any of it. Said, but I will eat my words for now. That's in quotes there. But let's hope he keeps it up. He has a purpose, and I agree there. That interview with him spoke a ton about his mindset. His mindset seems to be, and I think that's what Mark's getting at here, is that I'm going to help any way I can. I'm not trying to get back to the role I was in. I don't care about getting my 500 at-bats. My job right now is to just think about less. Think about what my job is whenever Aaron Boone calls my name, and I'm going to do that. So anytime you can see that happening, so far he's giving us results. Great defense today on that play from Juan Sodto. Super strange swing from Soto there. Still got hard contact, but DJ LeMahieu's fielding his position. He's making strong throws. He's taking quality at bats, swinging at strikes. So, yeah, I'm on that boat with the apology to DJ LeMahieu in the short term. But let's see how that transpires down the road.
Yeah. I mean, he had a couple huge hits last year and then fell off the face of the earth. But I think really the big thing, like we talked yesterday on, won't spend too much time on this, but he hasn't been healthy. That's what you said. That's what I said. He hasn't been healthy. You know he's been playing through something. I mean, we're already hearing after the Knicks beat the Celtics. Now, surprisingly, everybody's playing through like a torn something. And that's just the way sports is, for better or for worse. Some people tend to exaggerate that. Oh, yeah, we lost because like my arm was dislocated.
Well, anytime we lose, I tell you my back hurts when we're done podcasting. And then when we win, I don't say anything about it. So,
yeah,
I don't know. Losing tends to bring out the excuses.
Never forget the general body fatigue. That is a Hall of Fame Gary moment.
It is. I get fatigued when we lose. I do. So good to see us win. But again, drop your favorite player who played before. He could have retired before or after, but that played it all before 2005. Drop your favorite player. We'll read some of the best ones on our next podcast.
Before 2005?
Yep. They had to touch a field before 2005. Could be anybody.
So, I mean, A-Rod became my favorite player after the fact, but I would probably say Soriano.
Soriano is your favorite player before 05. Okay. Yeah.
Soriano or Paul O'Neill?
I'm going to wait to give my favorite player next episode because I don't want to shortcut this and rush it, and then I give you the wrong guy. So
no, of course.
Yeah, and of course, guys, like the video.